Now, let's go under the hood with the Nordstrom's Motor Medics.
Welcome to the Under the Hood Show. We are glad to have you with us. Russ Evans is here to answer your automotive questions.
Hey, thanks for joining us under the hood.
Shannon Nordstrom is here to do the same.
Welcome, hoodies. Thanks for tuning in so we can help you tune up.
I'm Chris Carter here to answer your calls at 866-594-4150. 866-594-4150. We have a lot to talk about, I guess. We haven't been here together for a couple weeks.
Yeah.
But we've got calls coming in, so let's get right to a couple calls, or at least one, and then maybe we'll talk a little bit. Maybe we won't. I haven't decided yet.
Maybe.
I'll control this. You guys just stand by. I got this.
Play along.
866-594-4150. Let's talk to Bob in Ohio. Bob, you're on the Under the Hood Show. What can we do for you?
Hey, yes, I have a 2009 Pontic Vibe, which is, I guess, the same as the Toyota Matrix. I'm having a problem with oil on, every time I pop the hood, there's always oil on top of the heat shield of the exhaust manifold, which was coming from the, I call it the cam cover, the rocker cover, whatever that is. So I put a new gasket, a new rubber oil seal on that, but I'm still having a problem. It cured that problem, but I'm still having a problem with oil consumption. I mean, literally within, I'm a couple hundred miles, I'm having to add oil all the time.
Well, first of all, Chris would be quick to tell us that this Pontiac Vibe is the same as a Lamborghini Urus.
Exactly the same.
Yeah, took all their styling cues right from it. That's where he's at.
Also, I might come back to that because also that the heat shield there, that's a good thing to have there, right?
It's a good way to start a fire if he's got that much oil coming around.
But if no heat shield, he definitely would have.
Remember, Pontiac's cure for that, for their recall, was, just take all the covers off of everything so it doesn't trap the heat in and burn up. Remember the Grand Prix that were leaking on the 3/8?
The fuel and oil?
Crazy. But on this thing, so the rocker cover, that's common to leak on those, and it runs down, and you're hoping and praying that if you're using a lot of oil and you see it running down and it's getting on the ground and it's the cover leaking, that fixes it. But it doesn't always. Usually a valve cover leaking will only consume, in the worst case I've ever seen one where it was so bad you just about couldn't stand to drive the car because of the smoke coming out from under the hood.
Or the puddle in your driveway that was
that's
always
like
there.
That's like a quart every 3,000 or 4,000 miles. It's not that much oil.
If you're deciding where to park because your car's leaking that much, you should get that fixed, right? And Bob's doing that.
Yeah.
I've had people that came to us to put the rear cover on the Yukons and Tahoes and Silverados because they leak back there where the main seal is in like the 03 to 07 era. They came and had us pull the transmission and replace that cover because their work had told them you can no longer park in the parking lot because there's a spot of oil like 3 feet around where their car, it'll eventually leave that big a spot. I mean, mine did, and I finally said, I've just got to fix it. And that was it. Didn't matter at the shop. It just matched everything else. But at home, it just kept sticking up the driveway, and then it had like leaves stuck to it, so I needed that. But on your Toyota Matrix / Pontiac Vibe, if that thing is burning oil that bad, it's probably the only fix of it. It would be an engine replacement, because what is happening on those, it's not super common on this engine. We don't see a lot of them. But when someone comes in and says, I'm burning a lot of oil and I don't have any leaks, it doesn't surprise us. It's something that we've seen enough that we say, that could happen. And you've got two choices at this point with the year of it. You could, if it's got a whole ton of miles on it and it's getting pretty old and you don't think it's worth putting a few $1,000 into, an engine, even a good used one, then maybe just drive it and keep putting oil in it until it's dead and then, replace it. But if the car is still in pretty nice shape, maybe doesn't have a ton of miles on it, you might look into some options for some used engines.
And it still looks contemporary.
That's still a pretty modern.
Is this a car that we had a lot of problems ever that you've seen, or any problems that you've seen with the crankcase vent getting out of whack and causing it to pull
Not
that
on a-
oil in and burn it.
Not on a Vibe.
Yeah, that's always something you want to check. Like a
Newer
lot of the
cars,
a lot of the domestic GMs
even
and
some of the old
some of
ones.
the other ones that they've got these positive crankcase vents, the PCV valves that get just gummed up and
And the
gross
valve cover even gets clogged up with enough
Yeah.
sludge it can't drain, so it collects oil, and that's even back into the 2000s.
and then it
early
would start
2000s.
burning it in, and it wasn't actually burning it by the oil rings.
Right.
It was just pulling it into the intake, which is bad in you're burning that oil. But number two, you're suiting up your catalytic converters so bad that you'll probably kill them. But I think I would pull the spark plugs too. They're going to probably look very black from oil burning because that oil's getting in there one way or another. And if you have a suspicion that it may not be actually going by the oil rings and that you find something else, maybe if you pulled the valve cover off or looked at the PCV, then you might want to do a leak down test on it just to see how the cylinders are holding up under pressure.
Or just pull the oil cap off it with it running.
That's a good point too.
If that thing blows air out of there like a foghorn on full blast, and it's bad.
Then you're pumping compression into the crankcase for one reason or the other.
Does that
Scare you?
address that question, Bob? Do you have any follow up on that one before we get to the next one?
Yeah. Okay, I guess the plugs do look kind of black. I do have the tools access to do a leak down on it. I hadn't got that far with it, but just below the how can I say? Just below, like where the exhaust manifold is,
Right.
you can see like the block, the cylinder head. I guess it's got like those X's in it, aluminum.
Yep.
The way it's made. I can see a little oil around there still. That's the area right there.
But
But
the amount of oil that you said you're burning, you said you're going through a quart every couple hundred miles. Was it you said?
Well, my daughter's driving it, and she comes to my house probably every 3 days, and I made at least 2 to 3 quarts of oil. And I do not see it coming out. I don't see no oil coming out of it. When she accelerates, I see nothing coming out the exhaust pipe.
It's burning it in the catalytic converter and the exhaust. It's hot enough to do that, but you would see it just literally dripping on the ground. If she's burning that much oil that soon, when she pulled up, you'd see it drip, drip, drip under the car.
Right. So, yeah, she's not dripping it. And I heard, seemed like I looked on YouTube, and it said something about this particular year had some kind of oil issue. I
They
can't
do.
remember what it was.
Some of them have some oil burning issues with the rings sticking in them.
I think you need to
Or
do a
is that
little
what it-
do a little deeper testing and like I said, look for blow by. Coming out of the valve cover, like Russ said, just as one thing you could do right away.
Bob, stay right where you are. We're going to take a quick break. We come back, we'll get to your second question, second question. 866-594-4150. You're listening to the Under the Hood Show.
Find out how you can participate in the show by visiting underthehoodshow.com.
866-594-4150. That's the number to reach us here at the Under the Hood Show. We're talking to Bob in Ohio. Bob, did you have another question?
Yes, on a 72 or 75 Cadillac, no start. Got some kind of security issue. Is there something way to bypass that?
Did you say 1972?
Yeah, so either 72 or 75. I'm not sure, but they look similar in those years. But
There's no security at all in those cars.
Yeah, the only security on that car is parking in a good neighborhood.
Yeah. So
oh, okay.
does it turn over?
No,
Okay.
I thought it had a security issue.
They have a so on that car, the power comes up to the ignition switch from the battery, and then it's got a fuse link on it, no fuse, and then from there it runs down to the neutral safety switch on the transmission, and then from there it runs to the starter, and that is what should be the purple wire at that starter, but that's your whole circuit. There's no other. It's all high voltage or high amperage. There's no small wires in that system, so it's pretty simple. What we do is you could take a test light, maybe go right down to the starter and stick it on
In this particular older car.
Yeah, stick it on that small purple wire and just have somebody turn it to start And if it doesn't light up, I would go to the transmission where you've got the wire coming in and the wire going out for that starter and see, do you have it on the in going in but not coming out? Then your neutral safety switch is bad. If you don't have it on either side, then you got to go back up to the ignition switch at the dash and see if you've got power there, because you probably got a loss in there somewhere. I would guess from the ones we've seen, either you got a bad starter or you've got a bad neutral safety switch is the most common. The ignition switches can go bad. Those are back in the era of the old doorbell push button on the dash to crank the car when the ignition switch would go bad. So it could be the ignition switch. You may that's the easiest and cleanest to get to. Just go to the ignition switch right up above your feet and see if there's power at the purple wire when you crank it.
And you could also try just this. You'll get lucky sometimes, is putting it to crank and then just moving the shifter back and forth, like to neutral and close to neutral in case the linkage has got out of alignment. And all of a sudden it might just pop, and then you'll know you got something out of whack there.
Or it could start in neutral but not in park.
Yeah.
Oh, that sounds like something I used to have on a Ford. I had to hold it to the lever up in a certain position where it wasn't cranked years ago.
Yep,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
Pretty common in old cars. You had to find the exact approach, the love touch to make it go.
Bob, thanks very much for the call. Good luck. That was one of my favorite specials back when I was a kid, too, on HBO, Power at the Purple Wire. That was, what a night. I mean, just that they captured it, that was great. 866-594.
So many thoughts in my head right now.
4150. Let's go to Rhode Island and talk to Frank. You're on the Under the Hood Show. Frank, what can we do for you?
Hi, guys. Thanks again. I was getting back to you. You helped me out about a month ago. We were discussing O2 sensors on this Chevy Cobalt, and I found out that it wasn't replaced with the AC Delco or a Bosch. It was just a regular store brand. I was wondering your opinion on those.
Well, they do have some very cheap ones out there, and the very cheap ones sometimes don't work as well. But if it's a store brand like there's many good stores. Well, NTK, NGK, those are a very good one, and they're actually factory OEM equipment on a lot of cars, especially the foreign cars. And when I say foreign cars, like even some of the Chryslers are considered a foreign car, the Stellantis kind of stuff. So, that's going to be a factory. That's going to be an extremely good quality sensor.
I think what Russ was referring to, if you jump on Amazon
Yeah,
and you start looking, there is the cheapest of everything, and you can't understand the brand name of the manufacturer. They've put it into 4 acronym letters so you don't have to try to spell it.
Kyle.
That's something that has a higher tendency to be bad. Your big box store parts stores, they have got different levels of quality, but they are typically pretty darn sensitive to make sure that the brands that they bring in are not going to consistently cause their customers problems.
In the worst case, with a name brand auto parts store, what you're going to find is what they call a universal sensor, and it'll be a great sensor, like let's say a Bosch or an NGK, NTK, AC Delco, but it won't have a connector on the end of it. It'll just be bare wires. So you have to put them in the right place. And if you don't place them where they belong, you can have a big problem. But they're still a good sensor. A sensor is a sensor as long as it's not cheap. Like you said, the Amazon sensors that are $10.99 versus a $40 one at an auto parts store, or even a $41. There's actually a lot of them out there that say more gooder. More better. I'm like, are you kidding me?
Go with the more better always.
The more better is
over
the best
more
one?
gooder. Yeah, because it's better.
I think most good.
Oh yeah, always look for the most.
And then one quick thing. I was replacing my cabin filter and noticing like a lot of leaves and pine needles and stuff that was in the filter. Now, is there an open duct where that air goes in?
Sure is. Under the cowl, there's an opening, and the air comes in there, and that filter is meant to be the stop, the gate at the system,
right?
And it will, it'll come in. So you can. They do have screens on some of them, just a light screen. It's not much more than a chicken wire to keep rodents out.
Okay. Yeah, I noticed I do have a screen like where the wipers are, right down in that section. So I was just concerned how all that stuff was
It's under
traveling.
it's under the wiper screen, so all those leaves and pine needles will get right past that cowl by the windshield and get down inside of there, fill it up, and then dump into that area. So it's open underneath.
It's kind of crazy that cowl vent, what can still get past that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it really is. And then that's where that cabin filter comes into play. And just think of all the cars for years that never had one.
Mm-hmm.
And you'd take them apart and you'd find all kinds of amazing things in the HVAC box.
Right. Does that help you out there, Frank?
Okay, guys. Thank you.
You bet.
You bet. Thank you.
866-594-4150. I want to go back to the vibe thing for just a minute.
Oh, leave it alone.
No. It's fine. I'm not gonna.
I went there. I guess I asked for it.
Yeah. I claimed many years ago that the vibe still looked contemporary at some point, even though it was old. And it was weird looking when it came out. And I said at the time, I think it looks equivalent to today's new vehicles. And I will say this, you and I have argued about this for years. And I think as time goes on, I get more right. I think I'm more right now than I was when
conversation start with an Aztec?
Yeah. The Aztec, I'll stand by that too. Although the Aztec is weird looking.
Or a Lumina APV van, a transport. I mean, did we start there?
No. I did see an Aztec. I was like, hey, that Aztec looks. Oh, it looks really weird. But the vibe. I was behind a brand new something the other day, and I'm like, I wish Shannon were here. I was going to take a picture.
Oh, you should have. I would have loved it.
Yeah.
I just, hey, Russ, I was driving through the vehicles that we unloaded, just checking out the incoming stuff, and there was something there that caught my eye. I'm going to say the name of it. I'm going to see if Chris gets it. It was a GMC Caballero.
Like, probably, was it one of the earlier ones or later ones? 80s?
It was double headlights, so it had to be
double. So
double rectangular headlights.
1982,
maybe.
I'm looking that up.
83, 84.
I just saw the 3 Caballeros the other day.
81 was the first, because remember the car I had was a 79 and it only had one headlight.
So
and then 80 had one and 82 had
81 or 82. They switched to double rectangular
on the Caballero. You can't look it up, Chris.
Yeah, I can.
He can.
I don't know. I don't know anything about. I'm looking up to see what you're even talking about.
Guess what it is.
This thing is really, really rusty, and it's probably gonna end up in the pull-it yard. But it's kind of sad. But I had one that I drove around in high school that my mom and dad had fixed up, and my mom used.
Didn't see near as many of those as the El Camino.
El Camino.
And what was the other one?
Caballero and El Camino.
Was it just those two?
Yep. GMC Caballero
for Chevy.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, and then they made some special editions like the Choo Choo SS, and they made some fun ones of those that were raised hoods and bigger motors. And actually, I think they might have still had a poopy 305 in them. If I think.
Oh yeah.
But
the Wikipedia entry is GMC Sprint / Caballero.
Sprint. The speaking of those kind of cars, and we'll probably see some when we're down at Barrett Jackson, I'm sure, but the Ford, the Ranchero, do you remember how big and heavy the doors were, like on a 77 Ranchero? Like when you close those doors, they were just so big. And
I remember trying to pick up the door of a dismantled 77 Thunderbird.
Yeah. Oh, those were big. I just saw...
They were bigger than me by time and a half.
I was out on vacation and there was a quiz that said, what is the longest car door ever made? And it was on a Ford. I can't remember what it was. I think it was a Lincoln. Did you see that one too pop up?
Too, yeah.
It was like on the morning news or something. They said trivia, longest door ever made.
It had to be like a Lincoln Continental.
It was like 5 feet. It was a two-door Lincoln of some kind.
I remember my neighbor had Big Johnny. My neighbor had an LTD, and I got hit by it once. I was getting out, and somebody tried to close it, and it was like, what the heck?
Those two doors. They were just
I was trapped. I was trying to get out of the back seat and just trapped, and then kapow. I'm lucky to be alive.
Like a baseball bat.
I'm glad you're here.
Thank you. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we want to hear from you on the Under the Hood Show. 866-594-4150.
Some are born with a silver spoon in their mouth. For these guys, it was a torque wrench and a multimeter. This is Under the Hood.
866-594-4150. That's the number to reach us here at the Under the Hood Show. You can always watch the show, too, on our YouTube channel. And if you do and you subscribe to the YouTube channel and join the Hoodie Fan Club at UnderTheHoodShow.com, you could win a hoodie.
Like Derek Greiner, congratulations from all of us here under the hood. And our friends over at Universal Technical Institute, UTI.edu, and Berkeley One Classics, celebrating 50 years of coverage for collector cars, classics. They're your key to collector car insurance.
It's a good idea.
Universal Technical Institute. So I was talking to my grandson when I was out in Washington last week, and it wasn't about the automotive. It was about the welding.
Okay.
As he was looking about, what it pays to be a welder and what it takes to be a welder. And then I was watching him weld some stuff, and I thought, I don't know if you really need a school, but boy, if you did go to like Universal Technical Institute, you'd be really good at it really quick. I mean, the job placement stuff would really help. I watched him so my son-in-law says, I got this 50cc Honda Spree and I want it to go faster, but I'm not putting a big bore kit on it because they don't allow over 49 there. It's got to be under 49 or less for street legal without license plates and endorsement on your. How to make it go faster? Well, I could put this bigger clutch on it. They got like a snowmobile clutch, variable on the front, and then a variegator on the back in it. So the front opens up or the front closes and gets bigger, and the back opens up and gets smaller on the bigger bikes. But on the small one, it just has the one in the front. It's like, how do I make this work? So I say, I need a bigger crankshaft in order to get it on there, and the back needs a bigger piece on it. Well, they wouldn't fit, right? So, I'll just cut a crankshaft in half off my blown up bike and cut the axle piece off in the back, and then I'll just cut the crank on the smaller engines, and I'm going to weld. See the weld connection? We'll just weld them together, right? This is a crankshaft.
This is a rotating RPM.
A 10,000 RPM bike, two-stroke. That's a lot. So he cuts it in half. He figures the space he needs just with a measuring tape and a ruler. Cuts it. But then he sticks it in a vise, and my grandson tacks it and looks at it, gives a little tap, turns it, taps it. Then he sticks it in the drill press and turns it on and gets the welder out, and he welds the thing up. Then got himself some emery cloth and turned the drill press on high and cleaned it up until it was perfectly straight. Put the thing together and it ran.
Did it have a vibration?
No, but it didn't go any faster because now that it changed gears, the engine was too small to pull it, but it really dropped the arb. Now it's like idle at 35 miles an hour instead of
Did he do that while you were there?
Yeah, we did it together.
Oh,
I was
wow.
watching him, but the welding thing, if he goes to Universal Technical Institute, it could be a career for him pretty quick. So UTI.edu.
866-594-4150. Let's go to Michigan and talk to Jeff. You're on the Under the Hood Show. Jeff, what can we do for you?
Hey, how's it going, guys? I really appreciate your show.
Thanks.
Hey, I have a question, and I figured out my previous problem. I have a 98, but I have a question beyond that one. I have a 98 Cobra Mustang. It's got the 4.6 four-valve engine, and I was having a fuel leak on the fuel rail.
Oh.
I have a Kenny Bell supercharger that we installed, and what was happening with the diameters of the supercharger and everything, there was a gap between the top of the injector in the fuel rail, and there was a gap. And so I lost probably about 5 gallons of gas in a matter of minutes when I came home from a car show the other day. So what I ended up doing with that, I had to take the supercharger off, and I bought spacers, 10-millimeter spacers, to go in between the rail and the injector, and I solved that problem. Well, while I fixed it, the other issue came, I thought, when I took the supercharger off, that I lost a washer down the intake. So what I did is, so there was one missing on top of the supercharger. I'm saying, I can't find that washer. And I thought it maybe fell behind the engine. But I ended up buying a bore scope to hook up to my phone, and I was able to look in each cylinder, and it was perfectly fine. But while I was looking in the cylinders, I noticed there's a lot of carbon deposits on top of each piston and each cylinder. Everything else is fine. It's all buttoned up. It runs perfect now. but I'm concerned about that buildup. What do you guys think?
Yeah, you're going to get some carbon buildup in those engines, and when you supercharge it, you're going to make that even worse. The quality of fuel you're running there is going to play a part in that. Also, if you want to keep that clean fuel injection system cleanings, or if you've got check with your local mechanics you use there and see if any of them carry the Justice Brothers products. You could put some fuel injection system cleaner in there and run that in each tank to help keep that carbon buildup down. It usually doesn't get so bad that it affects the engine performance or at all the way it runs, but it can. I'd say it's better to have one clean than not. If it's clean, you're never going to have an issue with it caused by it, but if it's dirty, you could.
Did you ever find the washer?
No, I didn't. And that's the funny part. So probably when I tilted the supercharger to take it off, it probably slipped off and went to the back of the engine and never found it on the ground. So it was a concern. So I didn't even want to start the engine up until I was absolutely sure it wasn't in one of the cylinders, because I know the kind of damage that something like that can do.
Oh, we've seen it.
So it's kind of like
you can destroy the whole engine.
It's kind of like that old book, If You Give a Moose a Muffin. So you started off, trying to fix a fuel leak, and you ended up concerned about carbon on top of your cylinders.
Yeah, it went from a
seems like a logical approach.
Yeah, I know, but that's after I got the borescope. I looked down, and boy, each of those cylinders, they just seem really carboned up. So I was kind of concerned about it, but I'm, like Russ said, I guess it's probably not that big of a deal. Try some additives and see if I can clean that out.
Right.
There you go.
That's good. But everything else, it's running. It's not leaking anymore. It's running perfect, and I'm glad I was able to at least get that problem solved.
Very unique car for that era, because what was the first year they put the 4.6 in those?
Oh my gosh, I'm trying to think. That was in '98. I think it was
94,
maybe '94 when they had the Cobras out.
Yeah.
Yep, because I know. Yep. And with the supercharger, it does add about 100 extra horsepower on it. So my son and I, we installed that, and not that I needed it or anything, but it's just fun to have that extra horsepower.
Definitely.
Oh yeah, you can never have.
You
enough
never need
horsepower.
it.
You're right.
You always you want it.
Right. Yeah.
Now we got this car we consider a Berkeley classic. I'm gonna just jump right out and say it. And so that requires us to play the Berkeley Classic Guess the Color game. And so your 98 Mustang Cobra, in my opinion, don't say it, we're all three going to guess, is white.
Okay.
And if we're wrong, you get a free hoodie.
Oh, okay.
I think it's
There's
blue.
a good way to play it.
I think it's blue.
I'm going to see if I can win the hoodie. I'm going to say it's dark blue, like a very dark blue.
Oh, and mine is a light blue.
Okay.
Like the electric blue.
Jeff, what color is it?
It is red.
Oh. So Jeff wins a hoodie.
Convertible.
All right.
That's the only color you can really have in it. Red convertible.
Well,
yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Stay on the line, and producer Doug there will get your size and your address so we can send that out.
Jeff, thanks very much for the call. 866-594-4150. Let's talk to Paul. You're on the Under the Hood Show. Paul, what can we do for you?
Good morning. How are you?
Great.
Hey, I've got a 2004 Chevrolet Silverado, and it has a radio in it that doesn't want to turn on. The clock lights up. It has power, and I've watched a couple of YouTube videos, seen like a couple of procedures to do to, unlock it, but it doesn't appear to be locked or some kind of a factory lock or anything like that. But anyway, it just won't turn on, but it has power. And I know that they had a run of those from 2002 to 2007 that were a bit finicky. And I was just wondering if you knew of anything that could be done, or if it just might be a bad radio.
If you turn the ignition switch on and that radio lights up, it means it's getting ignition power. And it has battery backup power if it turns on when you turn the switch on. If it's off and you hit the display button, it should light up, and that'll tell you that it's got backup power. So if those two things happen, the radio is just dead. And that's very common in that year truck. We've replaced a number of those. And you could put anything in from you could. There's several different factory ones you can put in. They do require programming, and that sets the equalization of the speakers for that vehicle. Some of them, if you manage to get it unlocked, they can sound horrible because they're not set up for the number of speakers in the vehicle or the placement they're in. But once they're programmed, they can. So you got to decide: do I put a used radio in there and spend maybe $100, $150? You got to get it programmed and everything to make it work, but you can get a pretty good deal on it. Or do you buy an aftermarket radio where you got to buy the radio, the dash kit, the wiring harness, and the antenna adapter, and put it in, and then maybe you go to a backup camera or something in there. You might spend more. I mean, it's up to you. There's so many options.
It almost seems like a similar price, whether the factory radios are a little bit more expensive, but I'm finding that in order to make the buttons on the steering wheel work, it requires an additional
adapter
harness that's about $200, and it seems to be about equal in price. I was just kind of hoping that maybe there was some sort of a procedure that I hadn't seen online that you might know of that might get it unlocked, but it's probably just a bad radio, like you're saying.
It would say lock right on it. Does it say
LOC?
it does not. Yeah, okay, yeah, it would say lock right on it. No. If it
does that era still say lock on them, Russ?
Yeah.
Okay.
It says locked on it.
I remember that from
okay. Well, that's
LOCKED. The old one said LOC. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, hey, thanks so much for your time.
Thanks for listening, Paul. 866-594-4150. We've talked about this before. Why is the code for a locked radio in the dashboard? Or in the glove box?
You mean sometimes like stuck to the side of the glove box,
yeah,
on a tag?
On mine, it's if the radio gets locked out, and it's right there. It's on the door of the.
And then some of them are in the owner's manual. So this is pretty stupid. Well, the federal government said you need more regulations for theft on cars to keep insurance rates down, right? Because we all know how low those car insurance rates are on your everyday, right?
If I'm stealing radios,
yeah,
I know just to bring a Sharpie with me, right, and just look in the glove box and.
Well, if you're so stupid that stealing radios is your deal, you probably can't read or write.
That's a good point. Yeah, you might be. Yeah, that could be.
Because people who can read and write don't steal radios, right?
I'm sure there's a few.
But the robots short circuit.
Not all
stealing radios.
Not all of them have the code right there.
No, I know.
But the ones that I've seen, and I've wondered the same thing. Once they learned,
have you ever had a lock? Like if someone has a lock code, have you ever been there was no way to get it? No, you would go. It's in there somewhere, right? It's somewhere.
I remember having Hondas back in the day that we would have to go down to the parts counter with the radio and the VIN number, and then they would have to get you a code.
But here's the thing: the government said do this so you get better, insurance. They were just trying to. It was just a dumb idea because it didn't help. The insurance rates kept going up.
I'll say this: if there was any dumb idea now that would lower my insurance rates,
vehicle security is all part of it. The anti-theft keys with the chips, all that was part of it. But when they did the radios, they just said, "Well, we got to make it harder to steal the car. Okay, we'll put a little shield over the lock and the door so you can't get a Slim Jim in there. Well, now we'll go through the window." And then they said, well, now we've got to change the door lock knobs inside. You can't pull them up anymore. They have to be smooth. So remember then they went to the straight pin that you couldn't grab with the. Well, then they went to the one in the door, and then they made that harder, but you could still get in. With the radio codes, they said you need some kind of theft so people won't steal radios. Okay, how about we put a code in it? Great. Well, we'll put the tag in the glove box. Well, that doesn't matter, just as long as you've got theft on the radio.
All right.
Really?
Let's take a break. When we come back, we want to hear from you. You're listening to the Under the Hood Show. 866-594-4150.
Make a radio appointment each week to hear the Nordstrom's Under the Hood Show.
866-594-4150. That's the number to reach us here at the Under the Hood Show. Let's talk to John. You're on the Under the Hood Show. John, what can we do for you?
I have a 2018 Ford Edge, and it's been draining the battery. About 2 weeks ago, I came out after it had been sitting for 2 days, and it was plumb dead, about 3 volts. Removed the battery, charged it overnight, tested it. The test was good. And now, after I park it, after, say, 18 or 20 hours, it'll be down to about 11.7 volts. Everything still works fine. I haven't left it long enough to see if it goes dead yet, but I haven't been able to find anything that seems to be causing it.
Down under 12 volts after a couple days is not really abnormal. We'll see 11.9, 12, somewhere right in that area, 11 and a half, just depending on how long the vehicle has sat.
3's a little small though.
3's not enough.
If it gets much less than
11.7 or so.
That's minimum. Keep watching it.
11.7 is just overnight.
Yeah, if it drops down, now that could be indicating that the battery is weak too, dropping down like that. But if it drops down much more than that, 2 days, if it drops down to 11 after 2 days, you've got either a battery that is weak and it's failing, may have passed a test, but it's failing, or the car has a current drain on it, for sure.
So in John's case, it sounds like he has a current drain, but also the battery that was dying and got down to 3 volts. That's probably for sure.
If you run a battery dead like that and recharge it, that battery is junk, unless it's an AGM battery. The AGM batteries are just far superior in that way that they don't have the same technology inside as a lead acid, where that lead acid battery, you run it dead, you lose half of your reserve capacity immediately. The second time you run it dead, you cut that in half, then you cut that in half until the battery you could fully charge it and open the door, and in 2 minutes with the dome light on, it's dead. It just has no reserve capacity left, so they're bad. So if you got a car with a bad alternator and you replace it, but your battery was dead and you recharge it, say, well, it's working just fine. No, it's not. It's only got half the reserve capacity, even though it may test as fully charged.
And you don't want to go get a new battery before you figure out what's killing the battery.
No, you've got to find out for sure. So to do that properly, you need a fully charged battery that is a good battery, and you need an amp meter, and you need to put that in line with every module asleep, door latches locked and latched, so they're not going to turn your lights on and pull it. And then you have to check for a current drain by disabling one circuit at a time till you find it. And if you disable that circuit, then you have to re-enable that circuit again. And when you do, everything's going to wake up more than likely. And when it does, you're going to have to wait again up to 30 minutes for everything to go to sleep. That's why it is such a long process, an expensive process to find this when you're at a repair shop to fix your car. Now, the drains can be intermittent. You can have a drain. You may let that car sit one night and it's dead overnight. Then it may sit for 2 months, starting driving, running with no problems. And then it does it again when you go to the grocery store and turn it off. You come back out and it's dead. You're like, what just happened? Well, it had a drain. And that can occur because you've got a failure in a module somewhere, and it turns on and wakes all the other modules up. And with all those modules in an active mode talking to each other, they can pull quite a drain on the system, and it makes it so hard for a repair shop to try to find that issue. But of all the calls we have on the show, that current drain, that battery drain, is like probably the number one that comes up the most. My battery goes dead overnight. Now, luckily, most of them are fixed with either a battery or an alternator. It's usually something pretty simple, but
and otherwise, if they've ever had an aftermarket car starter put on them,
yes,
we've had a number of them that when that is removed out of the system, I had one. Yep. The problem goes away.
Doug had one. If you're ever going to get a remote car starter, don't settle for the cheap ones. You got to get a good starter. I know here in town, we've got friends that have Audio Playground here, and myself installed hundreds and hundreds of these starters over the years. And the only ones I ever saw a problem with were the cheap off-the-wall brand that, you look and you see the sign and it says, we install starters for X amount of dollars. And then you see another one that's half price. A lot of people get the half price one. Then they're upset because the range is really short. They don't work as well, but also they can have those battery drains.
Well, in my particular case, it was a high-end car starter, but it got old, and the module was searching for signal.
You had the drone accessory, which is no longer even. It doesn't communicate. They upgraded them to a new style, so it was looking for a signal that's no longer.
Now,
there.
having said that, we talked to you about this quite a while, and you're sitting there just ready to jump on us because you don't think it's any of the things we talked about, probably.
And you may not know if it has a starter.
How old is your battery?
It does have a remote start?
It'll be 2 years. It'll be 2 years in November.
Okay. And it does have a remote start in it, an aftermarket?
It does. It came with it when I bought it. It has an aftermarket remote start in it.
Do you know what brand it is by any chance on the remote? Does it say?
It doesn't give a brand that I see. It's got a model FTX 1400R.
Okay, that is not like a CompuStar. It would say CompuStar right on it. So that is very likely that's a cheaper one. You could have it tested by having somebody disconnect that to see if it runs dead. And they don't have to tear the whole thing out. They just have to unplug the module, which would be the power drainer on that unit, and the key interface for your security. That's all they'd have to do in order to do it. So that would be minimal to find out. But if that's the only aftermarket accessory you have in the car, all the Ford Edges that we've had come in our place, it's super rare to have a current drain on one of those. So it would not surprise me if that is the problem with your vehicle.
And your 2-year-old battery could still have a problem.
Because it's
run dead before.
Or it could anyway. But yeah, it's that the running dead and the recharging will take it out eventually anyway. So, John, thanks very much for the call. 866-594-4150. We've got a bunch of calls ready to go, and we are up against the clock here. So we will get to those calls in hour 2 of the Under the Hood show. And just in this next minute, got to come back to, we talked earlier in the hour about the longest car door and the trivia question we had seen. And it's a good example of the internet and how it can be tricky. I searched for the longest car door and got definitive answers. Boom, boom, boom. But it would say the headline was longest car door, 98 Ford F, whatever.
Lincoln Mark, or I think one of our callers called in.
And it was, that result was from a forum where people were discussing what it could be, and they were just throwing out ideas. Same like the first 3 were just conversations where the result was, it has to be this, doesn't it? So it would say that car. So when you're looking up automotive information, like you got to make sure that you're not getting it from a forum and you're just reading an opinion. So be careful with that. Hour 2 is coming up. 866-594-4150.
You're listening to the Nordstrom's Under the Hood Show with the Motor Medics, Shannon Nordstrom and Russ the Super Tech Evans. Shannon is an ASE engine and parts specialist, and Russ is an ASE Master Certified Technician with extensive factory drivability training. Join the Motor Medics for fun and free automotive advice with real-world solutions to everyday automotive problems. The Under the Hood Show is heard weekly on this and other great radio stations across the U.S. Find out how you can participate in the show by visiting underthehoodshow.com.
With Russ Evans, this is Shannon Nordstrom, thanking you for tuning in to the Nordstrom's Under the Hood Show. Have a great day, and remember, PTLA.
The opinions heard on this program, based on the many years of experience of Russ and Shannon, are offered for entertainment value only and as a guide to your repair needs. No claim to repair or cause is given or implied. Always consult with your own certified technician and follow all safety procedures before attempting any repair. To be a part of the show, call 866-594-4150. Under the Hood is produced by Prairie House Productions. All content is the property of Nordstrom's Automotive Incorporated and may not be used without our permission. Copyright Nordstrom's Automotive, Inc. Now, let's go under the hood with the Nordstrom's Motor Medics.
Welcome to the Under the Hood Show. We are glad to have you with us. Russ Evans is here to answer your automotive questions.
Thanks for joining us under the hood.
Shannon Nordstrom is here to do the same.
Welcome, hoodies. Thanks for tuning in so we can help you tune up.
I'm Chris Carter here to take your calls at 866-594-4150. Full phone bank. Let's get right to the calls. We'll start in Kansas and talk to Dan. You're on the Under the Hood Show. Dan, what can we do for you?
Howdy. I've got a Ford. It's a 2001 Super Duty with the 7.3 liter diesel engine, automatic transmission. This thing is basically straight from the factory, no changes, no wrecks, no nothing. But anyhow, I pull several different types of trailers in my business, but underneath the hood there is a 30 amp battery charger fuse, and it's $5 a piece. But every once in a while, it just burns out, and I can change it, and then it works fine. And then maybe next time I hook onto a different trailer, or even the same trailer, then it may burn out again. Any wild ideas? I've gone through the wiring. I've replaced the back end of the truck. I did find some problems with it at the wiring connection, and I've gone through the trailers. Everything is just nice and clean and everything, but that dang 30 amp battery blows.
You're right. That charger fuse, that's what it does. It runs directly to the back, to that connector, that 7-way back there, and it powers the trailer for charging a battery. What I would suggest is to disconnect it at the front, where the wiring goes up, where your fuse box is up there. Find the wire, disconnect the wire so it's not hooked up at all, put the fuse in, see if it blows. If it does blow the fuse after driving it a while with it disconnected, you've got a problem in the fuse box. If it does not, you have a problem somewhere in that wire and it's shorted. And to save you the trouble and time of trying to figure out where it is.
Run a new one.
Yeah, and if it has multiples, just, do what most of them have to do anyways. When they weren't equipped with that harness, you just had to run a new 10 gauge wire from the front all the way to the back and hook it up, and then your problem is gone. But that's going to be the easiest way, because we've seen them with not just one short, but multiple shorts where there's been some corrosion internally in the harness that you can't see, and you'd have to take it apart to find it. But I'm sure that's what's going on.
Okay. What is the best fuel additive for that 7.3 as far as, I don't know, just keeping the fuel system clean and so on?
For the diesels, we use the Justice Brothers fuel additive for that, the fuel system, the diesel additive. They've got an anti-gel, which is a cleaner and anti-gel for the winter, and then in the summer, they've got a summer additive, and we'll use that anti-gel year-round. It'll save you a little money using it year-round, but unless you've got an algae problem, you can use the anti-gel and not the summer additive in it.
Okay. Yeah, I haven't had any problems with it. It's still kind of a young truck, even though it's
Sure.
23 years old. It's got less than 100,000 miles on it. It's kind of new yet.
Well, in that era, people like those. They like that Super Duty with that 7.3 versus a couple years later when they had the early 6.0s that hadn't been future-proofed yet. And so enjoy what you have.
Dan, thanks very much for the call. Good luck. 866-594-4150. Let's go to Bruce. You're on the Under the Hood Show. Bruce, what can we do for you?
Well, good morning. I have a 2015 Ford Escape, and it's new to me, but when I started driving it, after just a short time, I wanted to kind of shut down, take you down to 5 miles an hour, and then say something about the four-wheel drive was temporarily disabled. When I started playing with the buttons and I turned off the traction control on the steering wheel things there, then it runs fine. But if you don't, when you start it up, every time you start it, you just have to take that traction control off, or it starts doing these funny things with the shutdown. Everything else with the tranny seems tight when it's running. It runs fine, doesn't slip, doesn't jerk or move around. But that particular thing seems like an electronic thing. Do you guys have any ideas?
For the first time ever, I'm going to say it's not fixed if you stopped it with turning off it. Normally, I would say, well, just leave it off. Your problem's fixed. This is the first time ever I'm going to say you should get that fixed. Right?
Are you going to go down that road, Chris?
I think I'm going to.
Are you sure?
No, but go ahead.
So what's happening there is the traction control thinks it's working like it should. It's being activated. It thinks it has a traction issue, and then it is causing the engine to be limiting its torque. So you've probably got a wheel speed sensor that's failing on the car, or you've got some mismatched tires. So if you've got tires that one of them's brand new and the other three are completely worn out, that'll do it. Or if you have a wheel speed sensor that's got a cracked tone ring or something on it, or broken magnet, that will cause it as well. They're going to have to find out what's activating the system. If I had it in my shop, I'm going to have a scanner plugged in, I'm going to drive it, and I'm going to look, and I'm going to see which wheel has the issue, which one of them seems to be activating this system because it's going slower or faster than the other three. That is the wheel I'm going to go after and repair. If it gets too far out of range and it's all the time, it's going to set a code, shut the system off, the light will come on, and it's going to run fine. But in your case, it thinks it's normal. It thinks it really does have a traction problem. So that's where we've got to go.
One other small thing. Every time I fill it up with gas or put any gas in it, I have to just want to turn over and not start. And then I just said, well, I'm going to hit the gas pedal, maybe something, fuel injection thing, hit the gas pedal. And if I do that a couple times, then it starts up and then it runs fine after that. Is it the same kind of issue or something different?
It sounds like you've got a problem with the evaporative emission system canister and vent valve in the rear under the car. And if it is stuck open, when you fill it with fuel, the fumes and that fuel vapor gets into the system. And when you crank it, it's flooded temporarily and then it cleans itself out. But that's a very common problem with any car that has an evaporative emission system. So I would say it's time to replace the canister and the vent valve on that.
Yeah, pretty soon he won't be able to put gas in it.
And this is our friendly reminder to everybody out there at a gas station right now, and the person that you're next to at the gas station, and your family members, to let them know, stop when it stops.
Mm-hmm.
That can be a culprit in this problem. Also, if this vehicle, do you happen to know, did this vehicle see a lot of gravel roads in its life at one time?
I can't really tell you. It's got 200,000 miles on it, but it looks great. And it doesn't seem to be like no like dust or.
Oh yeah, but I'm just going to say that if you have a car that's been on a lot of dirt roads, they become prevalent to problems like this on wheel bearings, tone sensors. Evaporative emission problems are common on vehicles that run on dirt roads. But don't overfill your tank. I'm going to go back to that. Just when it stops, stop.
I saw someone doing it the other day in a pretty new vehicle, like this year's model, and I couldn't decide. I was trying to look at him and gauge whether I should.
This is not NASCAR. We're not trying to get the extra lap over our competition.
That's right.
We'll be okay.
866-594-4150. Going to take a quick break. When we come back, we want to hear from you on the Under the Hood Show.
Car feeling ill? Don't want to spread it to your wallet? Call the Motor Medics now for free advice.
866-594-4150. Let's go to Iowa and let's talk to Steve. You're on the Under the Hood Show. Steve, what can we do for you?
Well, I've got a 2008 Dodge Ram. I bought it brand new with a lifetime powertrain guarantee. And it's starting to use oil, about a quart of oil every 500 miles. And I've talked to a couple dealers, and they're telling me that Dodge wants to get away from that warranty.
Of course.
And I've heard that they want to, buy my truck from me.
I've heard that from a few of our customers that have said that they told them, well, we'll buy your truck, but they were wanting to buy it for basically nothing and get out of that.
Right.
But they also didn't want to fix it. And then we ended up putting an engine in because they said, I got to have this thing going. I haven't been able to get it done, and I'll just take my chances and go after them and say they wouldn't cover it because they had multiple times. But I don't know all the facts on this, but I do know that I've had enough customers come in that said they've tried to get this done. They bought the car, and I remember seeing the billboards back when these trucks.
How many years did they do that? Was it just like 2 years?
It was a few, but they said buy a truck at I was on vacation. It said buy a truck at our dealership and get a lifetime powertrain warranty. So I called because I wanted to know if I buy this diesel truck, and they said you've got to come in for maintenance at certain intervals. They had a few rules, but other than that, it was like, oh no, it's pretty basic. You buy it, you get this free lifetime warranty. And now I'm hearing some people that aren't so happy. But in the fine print, I guess there were some rules about we reserve the right to either fix it or buy it back at a fair price. Well, what is a fair price?
So what's your question, Steve? Should you do it or not?
Well, I've got the gas engine, and I've followed all the rules. I've maintained the truck real well. It's got 416,000 miles.
Oh my! Awesome.
Yes.
He is getting every squeal out of this pig.
Say, you're the reason, Steve, that this is
exactly. They've quit the program because of you.
Yeah.
Well, I told them, I go, they're going to regret selling me this truck.
Oh, they do.
And they they did rebuild the rear end twice. Other than that, the truck is still a solid truck. I got a little bit of rust. I'm thinking I'm gonna fix the rust on it, and if I have to put an engine in, I'll put an engine in it. But
have you been told no yet?
No, it's just the service managers are like, oh, they're just gonna, they ain't gonna do nothing for it. Well, I'm like, you're the service manager, do your damn job.
I was just gonna say, watch your language, because I could feel this one going awry. You're okay so far.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah, you're definitely gonna have to talk a little bit. Now, you're probably gonna find this one where they come back and say, well, we need to do an oil consumption test, and then they're gonna put you through that rigmarole, and then when they come back, they're gonna say, well, Dodge says it's okay to use X amount of quarts up to this much, and when they come back, I had one yesterday come in and said, well, they told me my car is only using a quart every 1,000 miles, and that's perfectly normal. And this was on a Toyota. And I said, all right, so your car holds 4.25 quarts, and you've burned in an oil change, you've gone through 3.5 quarts already, so it's empty. I said, well, I told him that. And this is a lady that came in, and you know what Toyota's response was? They said, well, if you read your owner's manual, it says you're supposed to check your oil at every fuel fill up, which is going to be every 200 to 300 miles, depending.
Sure.
So then you would know that it was low and you would add it. But they thought that was perfectly fine, that I changed my oil and then I put 4 quarts in and I changed my oil. I put 4 quarts in and I changed my oil. They're okay with that. But now if the catalytic converter plugs up and blows the engine up, they won't cover the converter, but they'll cover the engine.
Steve, have they made you an offer yet, or are they just?
No, I did a chat deal with Dodge, and then I find out the person I'm chatting with doesn't even work for Dodge.
Sure,
of course.
And they're like, we're just a mediator or something like that, and I don't know.
Pursue it. Keep going. I wouldn't give
Here's
up.
the thing. Steve just said, I'm going to keep this truck and put a new engine in it. So that's, I'm not, it seems like they're putting him off and making it vague enough that he's just going to get frustrated. I mean, that seems.
I'm not a super persistent person. I
Right.
mean, I know people that are much more persistent than me, but I always tell like our employees, it's okay to be professionally persistent about something.
Right.
You don't have to be a butthead. You can be professionally persistent and wait until and see if somebody will give you a letter that says no.
Right.
And I don't think you've gotten told no yet.
No, I've been a mechanic for 42 years. I pretty picky on my vehicles, and it's a really good looking truck. It's that cool vanilla color.
All right, calm down, Steve.
It's not a Berkeley Classic yet, so we just blew it otherwise.
Oh. All right.
I'm guessing the color. It's that vanilla color.
Steve has said he loves the truck. He's going to replace the engine, and it still looks really cool. And the service manager is listening, going, "Hey guys, we won this one."
He might even you might even get into the point where they say, "Well, that was before Stellantis, and we don't honor that anymore."
Yeah.
There's so many paths they might try to take, but until they write no in a letter, you're not
keep after it. Yeah,
you bought this. I'm not usually like that, but if you bought it, because when I saw that back then, I'm like, really? But they just plan on everybody not keeping their vehicle
or get the offer
because it's only available to the original owner.
Maybe they've pushed it out far enough now that they can their offers are okay. It doesn't sound like it for you, Steve.
could be a good selling point. You know, a truck that's got that many miles on it, original engine, tranny, everything but the rear end.
I've had many conversations with people in different divisions of manufacturers, and it's never at the highest level. It's always, some people that are in good positions, but they're not the highest level. And through our trade association work that I'm doing now in the leadership for our trade association, we've tried many, many times to convince those people that they're underestimating the value of brand loyalty of making people's repairs affordable as they own the vehicles down the road. And it seems like they always take the path of making it more expensive to repair the vehicle and making things sound impossible to repair the vehicle. And we look at this from the perspective, if you would embrace the use of a recycled original equipment part, somebody can keep their Dodge going. And then when it does finally come time where they're going to buy a new vehicle, they still have a Dodge they're happy with. Mm-hmm. And they might buy another one. But if they got completely torqued off at the end of their journey because they couldn't fix it and they couldn't find parts, nobody would help them, why would they want to buy another one of that brand again?
Mm-hmm. I've had a few people lately that were very adamant, said, I will never buy another one of this brand again after they have had many, 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 because they said they're just not like they used to be. Oh.
Steve, does that help you out?
That was a good conversation, nothing else.
Yeah.
Hey, I got one more quick question. You got time?
Sure.
My wife's 2008 Jeep Wrangler. They're telling me the cylinder head has to come off, put the EGR valve on. And I saw some videos that. Have you guys experienced that?
We're both giving each other funny faces here.
Intake manifold, but not EGR or not cylinder head. Unless they couldn't get the exhaust, couldn't get it out of the manifold. The had a piping issue and they have to pull a manifold off, so they got to pull a cylinder head to do it.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to do it myself.
Did you buy the Jeep the same year as the same time as the Ram?
I didn't buy it new.
Okay, I thought maybe 2008 was a really good year for you guys.
Yeah. yeah.
I don't know. I'd buy anything 2008. It's Dodge.
Awesome.
Steve, thanks very much for the call. Good luck. Please let us know how this turns out. Wait until it's solved, because we don't need you calling up madder.
No, just a yes or a no. I got told no, or I got a yes.
866-594-4150. Let's talk to Jake. You're on the Under the Hood Show. Jake, what can we do for you?
Yeah, thanks for taking my call, guys. I just bought a 2019. It's the newest vehicle I ever had. It's a GMC Canyon all-terrain. And when I drive it, if I got it on cruise going 60, 65, it gets down every little knoll or small hill. Is that normal?
They're very touchy about the downshifts on those. Yes, they do. They've got more speeds in the transmissions, so they have a wider range of ratios available, and it will kick down gears.
Can certainly seem weird if you're not ready for it.
It's different than what you'd be used to with, say, a 98 Park Avenue. It's going to have more gears, so it's definitely going to kick down a gear or so.
How do you like it overall?
Well, I've only had it 2 months.
Yeah, they're a beautiful, neat vehicle for the midsize truck. The Canyons and Colorados of that era, is it 15 and newer or whatever? They really are. You see a lot of them out there, and we have one here in our fleet, and they're a good truck.
Did you have a second question?
Yeah, I got a 98 Park Avenue.
All right, hold on right there, because we're going to take that's a good place to stop. Hold on. We'll come back. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we'll get to your second question. You're listening to the Under the Hood Show. The phone number to reach us, 866-594-4150.
Be sure to visit our website for news, contests, and previous shows at underthehoodshow.com. Welcome back, everybody. It's time to get back under the hood with the Motor Medics.
866-594-4150. That's the number to reach us here at the Under the Hood Show. You can also watch the show if you subscribe to our YouTube channel and join the Hoodie Fan Club at underthehoodshow.com. You could win a hoodie.
Like Miranda Clark, congratulations from all of us here at Under the Hood and our friends over at Universal Technical Institute, uti.edu, and don't forget about Berkeley One Classics, celebrating 50 years of coverage. Your key to collector car insurance.
Jake's back on the phone here. Let's go with your second question. You had one?
Yeah, the 98 Park Avenue on the driver's side and the passenger side blend doors, the actuators. I've replaced the actuators, but it seems like the blend doors turn too hard for the actuators to work. It makes those gears crack inside. Now, is there anything I can do to make them turn easier, or do I got to tear the whole dash out?
If they are hard to move,
those don't seem like separate questions.
Yeah, if they're getting sticky, so sticky that they're causing the motors to fail repeatedly, yeah, you've got to pull the entire dash, take the whole box apart, wash it with soap and water, clean it, put it all back together, and you can use some dry graphite, nothing wet at all on those shafts, or they will collect dirt and stick again, but dry graphite lubricant or silicone lubricant, and make sure they should just, when you tip the box up to one side, the door should fall closed and fall open the other way, basically. They should be very easy to move. One finger, you should be able to move that door back and forth. But if they're sticky,
I'm sure that's what the problem is.
yeah, they'll stick.
Remove that dash. Does the steering column got to come out, or just drop
You
it down?
you have to drop the steering column all the way down, and then pull the glove box out, take all the panels off underneath, the two pillars off next to the windows on both sides, and then remove all the bolts from the dash all the way around, and the ones up on the top where the defroster vents are, a couple up above the steering column, and that whole dash comes back, and then there's some wiring harnesses on both ends that you have to unplug, and you'll see how it goes.
It's a tedious process. You also have to discharge the air conditioning and
drain the coolants.
Drain the heating coolers. It's a big project. You know what I would do first is I'd pull those blend doors off, and I would get in there and just flop them back and forth as much as you can and see if they free up a little bit. Probably not going to, but if you would just move them as much as you can back and forth, maybe you'll get them freed up a little bit. It's worth a shot. If the car is not going to be something that you plan on keeping for a long, long time, you could try. You should never put a wet lubricant in there, but you could try to push something in there to see if it would help. But it's going to just make it worse later. But it's worth a shot on a 98 Park Avenue if you don't want to do all that work that Russ was just describing.
Dry lubricant goes on wet. When you spray it,
yeah.
'cause it's got a carrier agent in it, you might be able to take.
Could he drill a little hole and missed it?
Well, PB Blaster sells so much stuff, not just PB Blaster. They have about everything you can think of, from air in a can, dry lubricant, wet lubricant. Just think of anything you can think of that needs lubrication. They've got it, and they've got the Pro Straw, which allows you to change the amount coming out and also the spray of it. So you can use just a drop, or you've heard us talk about it. Well, that's what it's for. You could take their dry lubricant with that Pro Straw and aim it where the hole is, like Shannon was saying, where you take the motor off and stick it right in the crack between the shaft and the box and just hose the crap out of it. Just spray it, because you want to wash off the dirt that's in there.
And if you knew you might have to take it apart anyway to wash it.
Yeah. And then you're replacing
heck,
it with dry lubricant. So you're going to use that carrying agent to blast it out of there. And then hopefully that would do what you need. And then work the door back and forth and do it several times. Use the whole can.
Right.
Work it back and forth. And on both of the pieces, that might actually do it. I was thinking, if you use like Blaster in there to lubricate, well, it's going to be wet and it's going to smell like lubricant. But if you use the dry lubricant, that could do it.
Can I get one of those robotic cameras, like the doctor uses, and then tape a little hose to it and just send it in and get to the spot, and then
You can. Those cameras are getting so cheap now. The guy just talked about Bluetooth on his Mustang. He used the Bluetooth camera and stuck it down there. But yeah, you sure can. You can. Some of them are so cheap that if you broke the camera for like $49, who cares? But
Right.
you could, because the new ones we have, they're expensive, and you stick them down a cylinder, you get oil or gas on them, you can ruin the camera, and then you got to buy another camera lens. But yeah, you could get in there
a
with
little
that.
saran wrap over it.
Yeah, and you could look for wax in your ear when you're done.
Yeah, right. See what's going on in there. I don't want to see inside my ears. I don't want to.
Lots of prickly hairs,
Yeah,
I bet.
Yeah.
You look right through.
866-594-4150. Let's talk to Kurt. You're on the Under the Hood show. Kurt, what can we do for you?
Good morning. I got a 2009 Acadia. We did an engine, put a new engine in it, but now the front brake, the front driver's side tire is like the anti-lock brake comes on once in a while at a very low speed when you're leaving a parking spot. Any ideas? Change the hub, change both front hubs. Is it the rectifier ring? Any ideas?
Yeah, so
just park in a spot where you can go for it, right? You don't have to go slow.
The ring on that hub, they
Right.
crack. They're glass little magnet deal, and they will crack all the time. We see issues with those. Sensors, not so much, but the wiring where they run up the strut to the body will get a break in it as you turn the wheels back and forth. That can act up, and it seems fine, but it's not. It looks good. So those are the most common things: are the broken ring on the hub, or the wire from the sensor going up.
And if you've
The
already
vehicle comes from.
go ahead.
The vehicle was on gravel quite a bit, so
No.
it's more likely the ring.
Oh yeah, what'll happen is that the rings will just wear with age, but they will also get rocks between the tone ring and the sensor in there, and they'll crack it because it's a ceramic with magnets in it, and that ceramic cracks. If it gets cracks in it, you'll see it. You should be able to get a powerful flashlight and look at it real close. You should see where the little crack is at. If there is a crack in it, it's pretty common.
Shouldn't you be able to use a scanner, though, and figure out which position the problem's coming from?
Yeah, he said left front, didn't
and
you?
he say that? I didn't catch that.
Well, that's the tire that locks up. So I took it to my mechanic. He scanned it. He didn't get anything.
Yeah, he won't see it if it's
Electrical.
failing. If it's failing in its range, you won't see it because it thinks it's a normal operation because it's chattering. So it thinks that the wheel is actually
You're right.
on gravel doing something. We do a newspaper article as well that goes out all over the country, and I was writing one because somebody wrote me in yesterday. So I was getting ahead of the holiday and stuff, and they said I just bought an 09 Acadia with 80,000 miles. So we bought it. The dealer said 80,000. It looks like it's beautiful. This thing should last you forever. They hardly ever have a problem. They took it home. Power steering started to whine. So they said after a pump, hoses, and a new rack, and hundreds of dollars, they got it fixed. And they said, oh, yeah, that's weird. That never happens. They said 2 weeks later, we took it back, and the transmission was slipping. And they said, oh, these never have transmission problems, and it's only got 80,000 miles.
That person talking about short-term memory loss.
So and this is a dealership. And then they said, oh, so it's a weird, it's just weird. So they said, because it was low miles and a beautiful car, and it's our son's college car, we decided, well, we're going to spend $3,800 and put a trans in it. Luckily, we got a pretty good deal on it, but not that good a deal. They said, are those things common? Is it true that they never fail? And is there anything else I should look out? And when he said
timing,
when he said engine, Kurt said, he had to put an engine in it. I was thinking, well, other than that and
weird.
the timing
That never
chains.
happens.
Yeah. So I told him, I said, well, the timing chains will be next, but unless they've already been done, which they could have at 80 because of the years. But I said, other than those three things, they are pretty bulletproof.
And Russ, I'm going to go to one more thing with Kurt here. He just put an engine in it.
Mm-hmm. So he's good there.
No, but is there anything in the lowering of that cradle, and if somebody didn't disconnect something that could have happened?
The harnesses on those front wheels, they sell them. They are a common replaceable
Would that
part.
show up on the scan or not?
No, not until it fails.
So if this just started after the engine replacement,
Wire was pulled and it was already corroded.
Maybe
broke.
they didn't have it quite apart. I mean, those things can happen. It's just
It happens
it's
a lot.
the nature of the beast. It can happen.
We've had them come back after we replace a ton of engines at our shop. That's just what we do. Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds. And occasionally we will have something come back and they'll say, this has been doing it. I'm not sure if it was before or after. And we look and say, yeah, you know what? We broke a wire when we did this. So we'll just take care of it for you and help them out and fix it. But we saw that it was something that we did.
Because in that vehicle, most everybody takes and drops the entire cradle down on the table, and that's how they replace the motor. So you're separating your complete drivetrain from the body, and it gives you an opportunity to have a stress on wires, things that got to get disconnected, reconnected, plugins that could go together wrong. So I mean, I would definitely be looking there, but it could be a coincidence just because of the nature of the age.
Kurt, thanks very much for the call. Good luck. 866-594-4150. Let's talk to Grant. You're on the Under the Hood Show. What can we do for you?
Hey, good morning, guys. So I want to buy one of these used Priuses.
Sure.
I want to know what to look for. Somebody said that after 10 years, the batteries go bad. So I'm kind of wondering about the mileage, how old, what should I be looking for? Somebody said don't buy anything older than 2014. But the mileage, I don't know if they would go 300,000 miles or 500,000, or because I'm seeing a lot of high mileage 200,000 cars, 2012, 2014. So I'm just wondering what should I be looking for? So I have a good dependable vehicle for at least, I want like a year or two maybe.
Well, a couple things with those here going on. The batteries, we rarely see a battery fail.
On our end, where we're buying off the public, where things have died and they don't want to fix them in one part of our vision, we see one every once in a while.
2008,
about the battery then?
Not really. I wouldn't be a concern of mine. 2008 and newer have been really good, especially 2012 and newer. I don't think I've ever had a call for a 12 battery or newer, but I have for 8s and 9s.
10 was the new body style.
Yeah, that original model, they had some issues, but the batteries, the technology is great. Now, on the other hand, you got two things to think about. When you got a Prius, with any battery made in the world, basically, it's the amount of discharge, recharge cycles that are going to wear the battery out. A higher mileage car has less cycles on it because that means it was on the highway where that battery does no good. The battery is not being used.
If you knew the use of the vehicle that got the high miles.
Yeah, you're on the highway.
Yeah, right.
On the highway, the battery is not being
Wasn't
used
a cab. Yeah.
like in town, because in town, if it's fully charged and you drive at stoplight to stoplight, it's going to fully discharge it and then try to recharge it, back and forth. Within its range. It never goes completely dead unless it's bad. But on the highway, it's a whole different thing. It's going to be doing a lot of charging, and the gas engine is going to be moving the car. So the cars with higher miles, we find, typically have a higher percentage of life in the battery left. They stay at a higher charge rate when they come in. Like Chris's car, it's always on the highway, and it's still, I think his battery was like at 98%, and it's a 12.
Yeah, 13.
13, yeah. So it's
and the one we had before it, the battery was still good.
Battery was good after it died at 200,000.
The 286 or something. Yeah,
the battery was still, yours was in the high 80s, which is still great. So yeah, those cars are nice.
At one point, I knew this because it always felt like I should know. The replacement batteries on those went from pretty high to pretty reasonable.
I think they're like 13. Our partner Dorman Products sells them, and I want to say they're about $1,300. Does that sound reasonable, Shannon? Maybe in that range.
I haven't checked recently, but I don't think you're far off.
And they used to be
ones anyways.
You could plan for So
yeah, and the Tesla batteries for a full EV, it used to be 20 grand or more for those, but we've got a friend that takes them apart and rebuilds them now, and that price greatly drops. So, and there's a lot of people doing it now across the country. So battery things have changed from what they used to be.
Grant, thanks very much for the call. Good luck. Let us know. 866-594-4150. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we want to hear from you on the Under the Hood Show.
Prepare to learn something. You're going under the hood.
866-594-4150. Let's talk to Alan. You're on the Under the Hood Show. Alan, what can we do for you?
Got a 97 Dodge half-ton pickup, 318 automatic. And when I first bought it, the cruise control worked. As time went on, it got a little worse. I did not buy it brand new. I bought it in 19. Well, now it's completely failed. It's been that way for a couple years now. I don't drive it that much, but I made a trip to Indiana, 2,125 miles without cruise control. It's not real fun.
That is not.
I went out and bought, I came out, you pull it, thought, switch is bad in the steering wheel. So bought that. Nope, that wasn't it. Came back last week and found a 2000 with the control mod under the battery and bought that, got it home, take mine apart. Lo and behold, there's a big hole in the plastic line, the vacuum line.
Yep.
So I thought, okay, put it all back together. Went and got some 5/32 vacuum hose and fixed it. No, it didn't. No cruise all the way out and back.
Sure.
Now, I guess my question is, should have I, not knowing what I know now, should I go back out and get that hard line?
Well,
it's,
you said you fixed a hole in that line, but did you check with the engine running to see if it had vacuum at that line? Because if you have, if you have a hole right there at the cruise module, it's likely you have a hole somewhere else in the plastic line further up towards the engine. So I would definitely make sure there's a vacuum ball in there that holds vacuum reservoir. So it goes from the engine to a check valve and then down to that vacuum canister and over to the cruise. I'd unplug it right from that cruise module under the battery and see if you have vacuum there. If you don't, then follow the line. Just keep following it backwards all the way to the ball and up. The balls we've seen get holes rotted through the bottom of them. Plastic gets soft. We've seen rodents chew on them and the lines. But make sure you got that vacuum first before you get any more parts. And if you do have vacuum and it still doesn't work, the most common things for failure on those was the switch in the column, the clock spring in the column where you turn the wheel back and forth, and that cruise module down there. But above all that, I've repaired the vacuum line on many, many, many of those Dodge trucks, and that was all that was wrong with it.
Alan, when the cruise you said wasn't working, it was getting worse, would it just not hold the speed, or was it you just couldn't get it to engage at all?
It took a lot to get it to engage.
Okay.
And then finally nothing. But the little light.
Yeah, the light.
Turn it on, the little light comes on. Now, Russ, up there on the intake manifold, there's a little vacuum, I'm going to call it T, where the line comes out, goes down to the cruise control, and then goes into the body, excuse me. Now, and that all being said, when I have the air on or the blower, just the heater,
right?
The blower on for the, if I get after it,
goes to the defrost.
I can hear. What's that?
It switches to defrost.
Yeah, it dumps vacuum, and you can hear the doors actuate. Now, is that part of that?
Yes, that's all part of that. So if those doors switch like that, then you definitely have a vacuum leak and the cruise won't work. So you've got there's a check valve at that intake where the T is. One line goes off inside to the doors, and the other one goes down to the cruise. And there's a vacuum ball in there. The vacuum ball is probably where the leak is at, because you've got where that T is. There's a check valve first, and then the T. You've got two lines. One goes inside, and then down to the cruise, and then you've got one to that check ball. So just follow that vacuum system. Find your check ball, but you should be able to trace it visually under the hood. Find out which part is leaking, and it'll probably take care of all your problems just by fixing a leak.
Alan, thanks very much for the call. Good luck. 866-594-4150. Let's talk to Daryl. You're on the End of the Hood Show. Daryl, what can we do for you?
Oh, yeah, we're looking at a guy's got a pickup for sale. We're looking to buy, but it's a 1993 Chevy, and it's got a 350 engine in it, about 130,000 miles. Like I said, it starts, but then it'll backfire, and then white smoke will come out and black smoke, and then the oil pressure will drop. I don't know if it's timing chain or some relay, or he thought maybe the Cadillac converter might be plugged, so he got cut a hole in that, but that didn't seem to help him.
Well, white smoke is typically an antifreeze issue, a coolant issue. Black smoke, overfueling. blue smoke, oil. I mean, but they can mix up a little bit and get kind of confused. But
white smoke can be a new pope.
Yeah.
We were both.
But when I see white smoke on a vehicle like that, and then it runs rough and there's black smoke, typically I think of those engines where we've had a head gasket issue or an intake leaking coolant, and you start it and the coolant's got to burn off, so it's got that white smoke, but then it's running bad because you've got a fueling issue, which could also be head gaskets. So I would check that very close. Before I was going to purchase one of those, I'd either purchase it knowing I have to put an engine in it, so get the price right for that, or get it diagnosed, find out, have a shop look at it and tell you what's wrong with it. But I doubt the timing has anything to do with it. From what you're describing, it sure sounds more like a head gasket issue. I'm putting head gaskets in one right now, and a little newer than that, and it acts much the same way. Black smoke because it's running really rich, and also the white smoke because it's got coolant in the cylinder.
Does that help you out there, Daryl?
Yeah, otherwise it's a pretty good pickup. The body's nice, the interior's like new. It's he overhauled the transmission, put 2,500 in the transmission, got new tires, new brakes, new water pump. So a nice looking pickup, but yeah, the engine's the issue.
Well, you're in Minnesota. How's the rust condition in that truck?
It's not bad.
Very good.
It's pretty good. I looked underneath too, and it looks pretty good underneath too. So he must have kept it clean, I guess. Yeah, the interior's like new. He's got a nice stereo and new tires.
Those trucks are on the comeback.
Putting
again.
A lot of engines in those up at our shop.
88 to 95.
Yeah, people are coming in with those trucks, and
99.
they're in good shape yet, but they want to keep them on the road because they're way cheaper than buying you spend $5,000 to $8,000 to remanufactured engine and getting the AC fixed and all that, and it's way cheaper than buying a new truck. Plus, you got a classic.
Daryl, thanks very much for the call. Good luck. Hey, real quick, we're going to be on the road. We're going to be doing a special show.
We're going to Barrett-Jackson, which is coming up October 9th through the 13th, basically. In that area is the week of it. So we're going to be down there. We're going to do the show live. We're going to take calls live on the air. And there's a little time shift down there because they're a couple hours behind us. So, you can call.
We'll probably do it. We'll be available for calls during our regular time, and then
we might call you back. I mean, we can do that now and then too. So whatever you do, just remember that 866-594-4150 number you hear us give out all the time. Chris is giving out, and you can call us, and we'll get you on the air.
This is the first ever fall auction for Barrett-Jackson
and
at Scottsdale.
We're going to be doing it just outside of the grounds there. So if you want to come see us, you'll be able to come see us for free and watch us live, ask questions live, the whole bit.
That'll do it for this hour of the Under the Hood Show. Thanks for joining us. Until next time, UnderTheHoodShow.com. The Under the Hood Show is brought to you by Sturdivant's.
Yeah, let's do this.
You worried me there, Doug. This is the after show. When you looked up, I thought like I was off time, and I was like, oh no, did I? But he gave a normal look that I interpreted wrongly. Real quick, I want to come back to the Barrett-Jackson thing, especially on the after show, because we know that after show viewers are the best viewers.
And we're going to be doing the YouTube live down there too.
And they click subscribe and they click like.
Every one of them.
They're the best.
Millions.
They hammer it.
Like 6 million viewers, right?
When someone asks a question and then says, well, Russ, let me ask you this. I get slightly offended, but it's less offended than I panic when they say, Chris, I have a question for you. The panic is much higher than when I'm offended at them saying,
what
Russ.
about when I'm engaged with somebody and they totally leave me and say, oh, and Russ?
Yeah, let's...
that just happened. Is that what you're going after? Is that where we're going with this?
I've got a question for Russ. Oh, okay.
Oh, no. I was engaged with them completely, and then they just totally left me.
Oh, I got you.
And they said, and Russ, what do you think?
You said, try this, and he went, well, Russ, let me ask you. He didn't say it with that tone of voice. Oh, here's what I heard.
I thought I was the only one that caught that, and then you looked at me.
Okay, Russ, let me ask you. Same question.
That just happened.
Usually when they do that, I give them the same answer.
That person's very smart.
Right. Real quick before we get back to Barrett-Jackson, I made a major mistake. I was down visiting my children in where they work in Florida.
I saw that. It's the farthest you've ever been from me since we've known each other. I was at I was at the farthest northwestern portion of the country. You were the farthest southeastern.
Yeah.
And we're 3
and for
hours
once,
apart.
I wasn't gone.
Yeah, and you were in the middle. Shannon in the middle. And we were talking, and we're 3 hours apart.
Mm-hmm.
So you're sending me these messages at like 3:30 a.m. and I'm like going, ding, ding. Oh, what the hell is it? What does he want? And I'm like, look, we're on the boat. And in the middle, I'm like, you take the early boat? Oh, good night.
That's why I blame you for that. Just don't have your phone on. Don't have alerts from me.
It's from you. I've got do not disturb except for Chris because it might be important.
Do the opposite for sure. I made a major mistake. My son's getting married next year. We're going to her. She lives in Vermont. We're going there to do the wedding. Okay.
All right.
You're familiar with this. You just did this 2 weeks ago.
I just got the speeches texted to me, and I don't know if I want to hear them again.
Oh yeah,
because I went way over time, and I've gotten a lot of static about it, even though they said it was really good. But I do want to listen to it.
see if you lose interest in yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
And my future daughter-in-law's dad is somewhat of an auto enthusiast. He's got. I think I showed you guys a picture of that green 1940 Dodge. Is it a Dodge? I can't remember. But he's got.
Maybe.
He's got.
Got you.
Yeah, and so my future daughter-in-law says to me, we're eating and we're having lunch or whatever, and she says, my dad wants to know if you can drive a stick. And I say, what do I say to the enthusiast dad?
Well, I've got a Pontiac.
I say, yeah. And as I'm saying yes, I'm looking at Oscar, and he's going. He's shaking his head no. And I don't know what and I'm like, what I felt was, shut up, you punk. I can drive a stick better than anyone. I'm the best driver of a stick. So
well, okay, yes, my dad can drive a stick.
So shut up over there. And then she says, okay, good. And she says, we just wanted to know what car, my dad wanted to know if you get what car he would give you. He said, since you can drive a stick, he has a PT Cruiser you guys can just take while you're there. It's your car, go have fun. And if you didn't know how to drive a stick, he was just going to have you drive my mom's new Audi. I said, I got my toenail on my left foot is real. It gets real infected sometimes. So I hope I can drive it while I'm out there.
All he's got is his C8.
Oh, there's a lot of time where I can't drive a stick. We'll just see how it goes. I'll drive the PT Cruiser unless unless something happens. I'll let you know.
Cruiser stick.
Yeah.
So does it even have air conditioning?
That was kind of a but let's talk about Barrett Jackson a little more.
I've heard of them.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
We'll be down there, and we're gonna attempt.
We're gonna do it.
We'll do it.
We're gonna do it.
But we're gonna be there with
We've
a place to set up, do the show live on YouTube.
Yep.
Are we also doing it live on the radio here in Sioux Falls?
No.
Okay.
No, it's gonna be a best of show recorded here.
Okay.
And we'll use some bits from that later. But no, we're gonna be there live. It'll be just like this show. You'll live YouTube, live. The camera view will be a little different. It won't look like it does here. It'll look different.
Do we need a gimbal?
No.
Oh, okay.
Oh, we should get a gimbal.
I've got one.
Yeah.
A couple.
So details will fall into place as we get there, but we'll be on.
We'll be there.
YouTube
You can come
live,
see us. You can come see it while we do it. And it may be more than one day. The live on the radio, but we'll be doing some podcasting and stuff. But as far as taking calls, that'll be Thursday like normal. But we might be doing it Friday too, where you can come see us. But you come out, see us, you call us like normal. Call us if you've got classic car questions for sure. Save those up and call us with anything. If you just want to talk about your classic car, anything, hey, I've got this classic car. I think it's the coolest car ever. Maybe nobody else does, but I do. We want to hear about it. More people will be interested than you think because classic cars are just cool all
really
over. Cool. So definitely call us, just our regular phone number, and we'll figure it out. If you call us when we're not on the air because there's a time shift, we're going to call you back. You call and leave your message.
If you could come to Scottsdale and see us, but you're thinking, well, I don't have $3 million. That's not the only thing going on there.
It is so cool. And it's not like SEMA. They don't kick you out because you're not a car a car shop owner or something. Where SEMA, you can't go unless you're in the industry. But here, you can go.
The thing you see on TV with Barrett Jackson, that's just one portion of it.
Oh, yeah, that's just the big auction you see going across the stage on Saturday. They sell other cars that are actually way more affordable. Like they have cool, you might be able to go pick yourself up like a 80 Trans Am, 79 Trans Am, or Camaro or old Nova or something. You might pick one of those up for $16,000.
Lori on the chat just said, Nordstrom Automotive makes life so much easier. Just saying. Thank you for your service.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Did you see show contributor Rodney sent me this, where is it here? Numbers matching 1979 Trans Am WS6 ended up in a lake. And then it goes into the story of how that happened. Matching numbers, there's pictures of this Trans Am. And Shannon's coming over. That ended up there in that lake.
That's my car.
That is sad, isn't it? Let me ask you a question. Get back on that, Mike.
Hey, go back on.
Okay.
Oh,
that's not
sad.
good.
They got it coming out of the water. They're using a
If we had prepared, we could have put this.
rotator and they have it hooked to the snowflake wheels.
Is that roof smashed?
Hanging from the side, and the T-top roof is all smashed in.
That is sad.
Well, that's all repairable.
Somebody might, but oh my, that's sad. Is that the end of the? Oh, that's.
Oh, that's
Look
so
at the
good.
bottom. That car is like perfect. Yeah, that was a nice one.
Well,
That's
why
a bummer.
would they lay it on the roof? Are they idiots?
I think they kind of came out that way.
Or did they drop it?
Good question.
Well, look at it right here.
Oh.
To make right here, go no, right here.
Oh.
To make matters worse, the Trans Am flipped over while it sank and landed on its T-top, causing the whole roof to
Oh,
crash.
so that happened
The rest
in
of the
the.
damage you see was sustained during the recovery efforts.
So this happened when it went.
yeah,
It didn't even go
upside
in,
down.
crushed. It fell in, and then
That water must not have been very deep then, because if you drop that in 50 feet of water, or even 30 feet, it's going to settle and it wouldn't have smashed it.
So let me ask you a
It
question.
was a nice car.
Go over there. You can look at this later. Get back. Now, if you're someone, and this is a delicate question, because no one wants to see this happen to any vehicle. But if let's say you own a collector vehicle. Let's say you own number 20.
Whatever.
How did he get in there?
I don't. That's what the
Okay.
article's about.
All right.
So that's
Now, if it's mine, it was insured with Berkeley One Classic.
Right.
So if this happened,
Agreed value. I know what I'm getting paid.
Yeah.
I'm sad and I get my check.
I'd be very upset, but still, I'm covered.
But this is, if you let's say you have a numbered vehicle, you have 26 of 100 or whatever it is, and you know there's not many left.
Yep.
However, whatever number makes a car more valuable because there's few left. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Sure. Let's say it's 10, whatever. When you see that one gets wrecked, and you
I know where you're going.
you feel bad for sure.
Yeah.
You don't want anything to. I mean, you love these cars, not just your own. So it's a tragedy when this happens. But is there a little bit of mine just went up that much percent?
Is this like
in
when
value?
the Packers quarterback gets hurt?
Yeah, no, because it's not just wishing bad for someone else. It's trying to see. I'm wondering if there's a little bit of.
Well, yeah, you're
joy in
thinking,
it.
oh, my value might have just went up a little bit.
Right. Do you do that, or are you sad about that?
I'm more sad.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't planning on getting rid of it. I think more sad than less sad.
Okay. All right. I'll accept that.
That's my first hunch.
Okay.
But I'm not living in the situation.
Sure, that's true. I'm going to take this call. Hi, you're on the End of the Hood Show. Who's this?
This is Colin.
Oh,
Wow, that call is crazy.
yeah.
Dad.
Talk a little. Your phone is very loud, like you're eating it. So if you're in a spot where you can back off a little bit, go ahead.
How's this?
That's terrible.
Try to recall.
Yeah, try to
You
recall.
got a bad line or something. It's pretty rough.
That's a no go.
Sounds like the robot from Lost in Space is underwater.
He's after us. We have to drop that off.
I
there.
was in the Denver airport. Anybody been into the Denver airport and rode the train in the last
Nope.
Whatever.
Maybe.
I rode it a couple times in the last.
Well, since they've upgraded the sound since the last time I was there, and now the voice for the train, it says the train is arriving, sounds just like the robot from Lost in Space.
Oh,
I didn't make that connection.
It's it is the best
It could
voice.
be the- I would-
Have you heard it?
No.
Not.
I know
you
the
then?
sound you're talking about, but I would not have made that connection.
I was like, danger, Will Robinson. It was like, your train is now arriving. Please stand clear of the doors. I was like, wow, this is the best because their PA, it was that followed by, Mr. Chris, your plane, doors are closed. Get here. You will not be allowed to open again. What? I'm like, what are they? Who are they calling? The PAs are so awful. At most of these airports,
They are. I concur 100%.
I was at Disney World for a few days, and we were on the monorail, and they get on the monorail to give the thing, and it was
good
awful.
when I was
no,
on
it was off. The one that says "Welcome aboard the monorail."
Yeah.
That one was good.
Yeah,
but the driver.
Oh, I haven't heard
gets
the
on it.
driver. I don't think
It's just staticky, sounds terrible.
it's got to be their mics.
And I said,
Amazing Disney would allow that.
I said to my son, what's going on with the mic? It sounds like, and he goes, well, monorails are stupid and the boats are cool. That's what it is. And I went, all right.
So it even happens there within work groups.
I did.
I've been to the Disney Institute. I know it does.
I pulled a dad thing. My son is a ferry pilot on the big ferries down at Disney World. And I got to
Tinkerbell?
ride.
Does he ride Tinkerbell?
I got to ride back and forth a few times while he was piloting. And when we got all done, I was like, that was cool. And we need to talk about your mic work. You gotta, he's like, well, I don't have the spiel. If we'd have been on a different boat, I said, no. Not what you said. You were fine. But come on, you got to get on the mic. You got to center. Don't just talk. You got to
work that thing.
Yeah.
Get on it.
And then he said, well, was it better when I was I said, yeah, when we went the other way. I was like, all right, now he's got it. He said, no, it's the mic. And I said, well, you got to know that then, and you got to compensate. You got to change.
So many of them have that, like the CB microphone. That's what they're using for the PA, and that's not going to work.
Well, in some of them, they have the mic that was there when they put it in service
in 1970.
On the boats they work good. That's what I said too. I said when your fiance was driving, it sounded fine. So I'm just trying to. I'm trying to.
Would he have been better off opening the door and just kind of getting back into the cabin and saying, hey,
no, because those things are huge.
Okay.
I've been on a few of those, and you probably have too, where they try to talk in the mic and then they just put it down and they yell. They're like, all right, hey, everybody. And they just talk really loud. And they sound good.
Life vests are under the seat.
Depends which boat. But yeah, the ferry boats are pretty good size there.
Which do you prefer? The live person talking like that's not very good, or where they start at the boat and say, okay, listen to this message, and they hit the button and it says, you're riding the ferry boat from, and then it talks. And
I enjoy somebody with some personality putting fun into the message.
It depends.
Like an airplane pilot, a stewardess that kind of has a little extra.
Mm-hmm.
The tram.
Some go too much.
And
like
I
would probably do. But.
Let me be clear in case he happens to hear this. That can happen there's 3 types of boats he drives.
Right.
And 2 of them, you're the guy and you can have personality. This one are different. It's a different setup. I mean, you can't the ferry pilots can't really do that. It's not, you can a little bit, but it's not the same situation as those small boats where, you're talking to people right there. This one he's up in a pilot house over there. No one's by him and he's running a giant ship. So you don't.
Right.
At least when you're.
If you can't see the people, it wouldn't be very good.
Right.
The ones that are the most obnoxious to me, and you hear them all the way across the parking lot, are the trams. Those are usually really, really, really loud. They've got big speakers on them, and they're loud and they're clear.
They
do hear them all the way across the lot.
The ferry pilots do. They can talk to as you're like coming on. You're right below them, so they'll nice hat. Hey, go Packers or whatever, boo Packers. So that is fun when you're coming on and the ferry pilot says, "Hey, Dad, That was pretty cool. Yeah.
If they
Is that what you got?
Yeah.
If they can make the PA sound clear on the scare floor, why can't they make it sound clear in the boats? You know, it's like, hey, you in the Packers hat. Is he talking to me? Yes, I'm talking to you. I'm looking right at you. What? It's so cool how they do that. Do they still have that?
Yeah, they do.
I love that.
Monsters Inc. laugh floor. It's pretty.
Yeah, there you go.
The monsters, the cartoons talk to you and tell jokes. And
you're looking right up at the characters, and then but they're it's on video. It's not, but they're looking at you.
Good stuff.
All right, Barrett Jackson.
Yep,
October 10th.
It's going to be coming. Was it like 7 weeks from now? 6 weeks? I don't know. I'd have to ask Siri.
Don't say that word. Don't say that word. Don't say either of those words.
I can't.
No, don't say either of them.
Fine.
Trust me.
You can hold your side button and just ask the question without
a lot of
saying
people
that.
get mad at me. I say things a lot on the radio that does.
How many weeks until October 9th? It's 5 weeks and 6 days until then, is what it says. I got it on silent.
Your phone sounds just like. How did you do that?
It's 5 weeks and 6 days until then.
Oh, our first time I heard a person with a different voice on their Siri was our friend Terry Johnson, and I go, "How'd you get a British Siri?"
That's my wife has.
I think it was Terry. I don't remember. For sure.
I once said on the air on my day job on the radio, I said, "Hey, word that triggers in a." I said, "Let's see if this works." Hey, so and so. I'm trying to make sure it doesn't happen. Volume 10. Hey, so and so. Play Metallica.
And you did that?
And it worked.
Oh, yeah.
It worked on a lot. We got a lot of feedback on that one.
Occasionally, my TV will, it's an Amazon TV, so it's got that built in. My TV will trigger the other box in the kitchen. Not very often, but it'll do it. And I'm like, why are they doing that in the commercials? I see why you're that's crazy.
I will say that a couple people understood that it was funny, and they kind of thought it was funny.
Oh, it only takes one, though.
Except, no, those people said, I get it. I'm not mad. I get it. It was funny. I thought it was funny till it worked in my house at 6 a.m. I mean, I'm on early morning, so it was... It wasn't the most well thought out gag I ever did.
I had a wonderful young lady on my youth soccer team. Her name was that. First game, I realized it was a problem when the parents were on the same sideline because I was yelling, "Hey!" trying to get her attention. Didn't even think of it.
Well, when it first came out, a lot of people named their kid that.
Yeah, it was like
why the other the Amazon one. There were already a lot of those.
Yeah,
but with the Apple one, people were like, "Oh, that's so cool. Let's name him that."
It's a great name.
Like, why would you do that?
I love the name actually, though.
Hey, yeah, okay. Drives me nuts. I think they should allow you to use any word you want. You should be able to just type it in, and it does it because they have 3.
You can
now.
choose. You can choose a few. You can choose the name of the thing. You can choose the Amazon. You can on our. You can use the.
Yep. You have 4.
There's like 4 or 5. Yeah, there's a few, and I would think they would. I'm surprised they don't have more. At least more to choose from. I know why they don't let you pick. Like, just make your own choice. That one I get. Because I have a son who's 24 and I was once 20. And if I could change
he's the one
name,
that had that great email for hockey, right?
What was that?
The email, the school thing. You got the note from the school that said, "Hey, your son with the email of this," and you went, "What?" That was a long time ago, wasn't it?
It was a long time.
Yeah, I forgot exactly what the email was, but it was scary.
I've blocked it.
Producer Doug, do you have a smart speaker at your house? My daughter has one in her room. That's the only one in her house.
Okay.
I've got 6. And none of them will play music. And when I called them and I said, if I say the word music in anything like, "What's the weather today?" music, I'm sorry, I can't help you with that. It's just, what?
And I love when I come in here to do studio tours. Like I had some people here yesterday and we saw it.
You say turn on the lights?
Yeah, and I tell
Yeah.
To turn on the lights. I just love it. I don't know why I don't have one at home for doing more things.
If I have a question, if we tell the studio to do that right now, will it take us off the air or will it just shut off all the extra lights and stuff?
No, it'll just shut the lights off.
That's just that.
All it's hooked to is the TV monitors in here and these lights. It's because of the ambiance. So if you bring a tour in here,
say it.
Here, you can mute my mic.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So I don't think anybody else at home has studio lights, so we'll be good.
Let me look.
It might have picked up
hold
on
Wait.
lights.
Let me look at the feed and see. Oh, it went back on. Turn them back off. Let's see how.
What's that?
I wanted to see if. Oh. Okay. Now turn them back. They're on now. Okay. Now turn them off. All right, now you talk because we got to get it back to your camera so I can see what's going on.
Hello, I'm back over here. Can you see me?
Okay, it doesn't look that much different. It looks like we're.
Oh, it's darker in here.
It's darker.
It looks
Kinda
plain.
neat. Come look.
Everything's off.
You want to come look, Shannon?
Does it look like we need to go under a Billy Rubin light?
I just had flashbacks. Here's your baby. Here's the thing.
My hair looks shorter now.
Every time I see that blue light, I'm like, it throws me back into that days. Now you talk so he can see that.
Hello. I'm over here. People are like, is this a car show? It's like, no, this is the after show. We do what we want.
Yeah, this doesn't stick.
Some people love it.
Yeah, it kind of looks.
A lot of people
still looks kind of normal. All right. Surprise me. The TVs, the monitors in the studio going on and off is a little bit weird from this angle. Oh.
Turn on studio lights.
One more time.
Alexa, turn on studio lights. There we go.
Oh, yeah, look at
I just
that.
felt so uncomfortable without the lights on.
It does feel weird.
Ooh, now we got a fireplace.
Oh,
I love the
Are you warm back there?
Oh, look how nice it is. All right, we'll I think that's it. We're good. We've wasted plenty of time.
Yeah, we have.
Anything pressing? I don't think so.
I have got
Press down for life.
I'll talk about it next week on the air. We got EV Expo in town coming up.
Oh yeah,
for Sioux Valley Energy. We'll talk about that on the air.
All right,
next.
I the EVs it's got to be your own choice, but they're fun. We're gonna rag on some when we're down at Barrett Jackson's.
Yeah, we're gonna get.
We got a friend that's got a couple of them. I think does he still have 2 or 3 of them? He's got the Cybertruck.
He's got
and a Model S, right? And a Model X or Model X.
Got rid of the X. Has a Cybertruck and has a Model Y now. And I was just quick.
The X is what you drove.
I drove his X. He let me borrow that, but the Cybertruck is awesome. I drove his Cybertruck. It's pretty amazing. But funky. I was equally impressed, if not more impressed, driving his Model Y with its FSD full self-driving mode. And it's one of the newest full self-driving. And he was getting an update that night that was going to take it to another level. Wow.
Well, like we said,
I'm surprised they're still allowed to call it that.
Yeah. They're not for everybody, but if you decide that, and you shouldn't be forced to ever have one, but if you do want one, it could be fun. If you don't need it for certain things, I mean, whatever you want to use it for, if you choose to buy one, it could be fun. So we're gonna see what it's like. And I got the rental car I got as a Model 3, which is weird. I got it's American. It wasn't United, Shannon. I just looked it up. So they gave me a car. They said, "Do you want a car?" And I wanted to be.
I'm getting the van.
I got a partner. One of our partners is sponsoring this Berkeley One Classics, and I want to be respectful. And I was like, I'm going to get the cheapest rental car there is, right? So I clicked on the cheapest one, and it was a little cracker box. It says Kia Soul or similar, and I think it was $69, $79 a day. And then I looked down, I said, well, what's it cost? I'll pay the difference. What's it cost for a full size? Now a full size is like a Ford Fusion. That's not a full size. I'm thinking, Caprice or whatever. But so I look at that. So I said, fine. And I click on the Kia Soul or similar, and all of a sudden another screen just pops up. And it said, would you like a luxury Model 3 or similar for $29.95 a day? And I said, for $29.95 a day, yes, I would.
Was that an upcharge or was that the actual charge?
No, for $29, period. So it gave me that car per day.
What does that say?
I don't know what they were thinking, but
nobody else wanted to rent it.
Yeah, they're trying to get it.
That could be the thing. But so maybe we'll have to race that one against the Cybertruck and see which one.
Why would you put that on a public?
Because this is YouTube. That's what they do. I mean, Whistling Diesel got out there and broke a Cybertruck in half and said, "Look, the frames are breaking." No, they're not. You broke it.
Yeah, and then I just had somebody just the other day said, "Yeah, I just had somebody tell me how bad the frames were," and I guarantee that's the video they probably watched.
Yeah. I mean, that's what's fun. People do that. We're not going to break ours because we don't want to pay for it.
No.
But we could break Jeff's. He's got insurance, right? Sorry,
All right.
Jeff.
All right. We're out. Thanks, everybody. See you next week.